We'll begin our service with the ringing of the bell. If I could get a volunteer. Little David, would you ring the bell? Thank you. If I don't have a little kid, I always call him Little David. Yeah, and I light the Christ candle. Stephen hit the lighter. Thank you, David. And at Unity, we light our candle and ring our bell to remind us, each of us, of the Spirit of the Christ that we carry within us. And now if you'll speak with me, our opening statement, and you'll find that on the inside of your bulletin. We'll repeat that together. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent. Now let's take just a moment and take that thought within. And now let's affirm it together once more. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent. And so it is. Our songs this morning will be led by Ron Sowell, accompanied by Jeff, I'm sorry. Jack's a long time ago.
All those piano players look alike, so it's a common problem. Would you please stand, and we'll sing Surely the Presence right inside your front cover. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. I can feel His mighty power and His grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on His face. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. Surely the presence of our God is 322. 322.
I thought we sounded great, didn't you, Ron?
I did.
Yeah. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Kanawha Valley. It's so nice to see everyone here this morning. Our announcements this week. The Davis Children's Shelter is still collecting luggage and backpacks for the children as they transition to their next home. So we appreciate Dewey Lester for taking those to the shelter for us and anyone who brings them in to share. So Sojourner Shelter is collecting gifts for the children. So we like to bring those gifts in wrapped paper with the age and the gender of the child on the gift and put them under our Christmas tree. And then we love to take them to the shelter the Sunday before Christmas. It's such a great feeling to help people in need, where we never know when we'll be in need. We are a tithing church, and we tithe 10% of our offerings to charities, and this month our tithe will go to the Covenant House, an worthy organization. Let's see, what else? Thursday's book study group at 8 p.m. on Zoom. I'm assuming that Scott's still doing that. He's out of town this week. UKV is, and I mentioned we were collecting gifts for the children, so we will deliver those on Sunday. So please get them in before Sunday, December 17th. Mondays through December 5th, which is the Monday after tomorrow, I think, Barbie is still conducting her Radical Prosperity Group. Are you still taking new people? Okay. Yeah, just let her know. Yeah, if you want to participate in that, and if you need to know more about it, you can ask Barbie with the bright blue earrings. You can't miss her. Okay, our holiday services have been scheduled, and Wednesday, December 14th is our candle lighting service, and we always have a beautiful candle lighting service. If you haven't had the opportunity to attend that, you don't want to miss it. It's really gets you in the spirit for Christmas. And then the following Wednesday, on December 21st, is a solstice concert at 7 p.m., and the proceeds of that concert goes to our local Covenant House. And Ron just arranges the most fantastic group of musicians, not magicians. They are magicians. They're magical musicians, yeah. And we have, it's just so meaningful, and especially at Christmas time. So please get your tickets now, and we'll see you there. Tuesdays in January, Barbie is starting an Unravel class from 5:15 to 7 p.m. What day is that? Tuesday, yeah. That's Tuesday, it's on Tuesday. And it starts on January 3rd, so let her know. It costs just $25. Let her know if you'd like to attend that. And Sunday, January 8th, is our Burning Bowl service at 11 a.m. That's always a lot of people, that's their favorite service of the year. So it's a time to consider what you're hanging on to and why you're hanging on to it, and let it burn. So, and welcome new things into your life, and that's always great. And then Artist Way classes. Gosh, we've got so much going on at this church. It's amazing. It's wonderful. Artist Way classes. Megan Lyon facilitates that series, and she will be holding her next Artist Way from January 11th through March 29th. It's a 6-week class, cost us $150, but I understand it's well worth it. Everybody that has been just raves about it. And then Friday, January 13th, Ron Sowell's open mic, and on to Saturday, February 4th, Super Bowl sale. That's always a fun time. Everybody makes soups and brings them in and sells them to the neighborhood, and we make money and have fun and eat a lot. So what could be better, right? Okay, that's all I have. Anybody else got anything? Okay, thank you very much, Janet.
This is the first Sunday of Advent, and it's a Sunday of hope and faith. And from the scripture, Jesus says, "Let the little children come to me, and do not stop them, for it is to such as these that the kingdom of heaven belongs." So as we go into a faith meditation, imagine having the faith of a child who is expecting something wonderful for Christmas, and allow your faith to blossom as that little child's faith would blossom. So if you'd like, just take a deep breath and follow that breath into your body. Allow yourself to settle into your heart space. And as we turn within, quieting our thoughts, releasing our cares, we enter the sanctuary of our hearts. We open to fresh vision and deeper understanding. We are fully present, centered, and aware of our divine nature. We know it to be true that we are strong, positive, powerful. We call upon our faith capacity to cast a new vision of ourselves. We recognize and realize our strength, power, optimism, and confidence. Circumstances, events, or other thoughts do not limit us. We overcome negativity and persevere with patience and hope. Looking beyond appearances, we perceive the truth and stand secure. We view life through the lens of faith. We are greater than the conditions we face and the experiences we encounter. Empowered by faith, we trust that we know we are strong and unwavering. Challenges do not deter us. We speak, move, and act with confidence, for faith is our spiritual strength. We expect and prepare for only good to unfold. Faith declares that it is so and moves us to act to make it so. Our faith is the anchor that holds us fast, assuring us that good will come to pass. We welcome and celebrate the blessings to come, grateful for our spiritual power of faith. We are perceptive, expectant, and assured. We know that all is well. And so it is. So on this first day of Advent, we light the candle. And as we light this candle of faith, we affirm the highest and best for all humanity with the faith and the hope of a child.
The words for today are hope and faith. And the affirmation is, hope dawns within me and leads me to deepen in faith. As Advent season begins, I say no to pessimistic or hopeless notions that may have crept into my thinking, dimming my hope and weighing on my mind and heart. Today, I say yes to goodness and positivity. I feel a sense of renewed hope dawning within me, a promise that something wonderful is on its way. In these moments, I feel my faith reborn. I reaffirm my belief that no earthly condition, no worldly circumstance is greater than spirit. This is where I place my faith, in the power, presence, love, and grace of God. As I call upon these divine attributes within myself, I perceive them more readily in others. I grow in faith that together we have the power to create the world of our highest imaginings. And from Romans 15:13, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit.
When I saw the title of today's lesson, this song came to mind. I wrote this years ago with my good friend John Wickstrom. It's about a solo journey of a different kind, or maybe the same kind. If you've been true to everyone but yourself, Set your course towards the dreams of someone else. Should you decide to see who you were meant to be, there's a part of you that knows just where to turn. It's a voice from afar that tells you where you are. It's true to the traveler as the northern star. It won't talk loud to be heard, but listen to every word you find, that it's coming from your heart, like a voice from afar. The compass spins round and round, you've lost your bearings. The sails are torn, the wind's too loud for you to hear. Go where it's calm down below. Trust the part of you that knows that you could find your way with your eyes closed. It's a voice from afar that tells you where you are. It's true to the traveler as the northern star. It won't talk loud to be heard, but listen to every word you find, that it's coming from your heart, like a voice from afar. You'll see, not once were you alone, as you search for what you've always known. See, not once were you alone, as you search for what you've always known. It's a voice from afar that tells you where you are, as true to the traveler as a northern star. It won't talk loud to be heard, but listen to every word you find, that it's coming from your heart, like a voice from afar, like a voice from afar, like a voice from afar.
Thank you, Ron and Jeff. That's so beautiful. I love that song. You did great way back then when you wrote that. Our speaker this morning is someone that is very dear to my heart, a good friend, I consider her. She's a wonderful, beautiful soul who loves to travel her own way. She paves her own road. She's very well known in this community, as well as being loved and she has so much wisdom to impart, and I'm proud to call her my friend. Welcome, Kathy Nutter.
Make me cry already. I love you too. Good morning, everybody. And Ron, that song was beautiful. What a beautiful accompaniment to my talk. I thank you. Yes, although I'm loud. So good morning, everybody, and I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I did. When Scott asked me some months ago, he said, I followed your trip when I went out in May for 3 weeks on a solo trip to the Mighty Five out in Utah, the 5 national parks. Started at Arches, went to Canyonlands, Capitol Reef, Bryce Canyon, and Zion National Park. So he said, might there be a lesson in that? And I looked at him and I said, you know, I could probably go at that 3 or 4 different ways. It was really so restorative to me. That's the best way to put it. It was restorative. And so I said, yes, I would love to do that. So when he asked, I was like, you know, this is perfect timing. I didn't really write anything down because I have just, all I can say is, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about my background as a kid that will help you understand where I come from. But I grew up in a house where my dad and my stepmother raised me, and it wasn't always easy. I had to spend a lot of time in my room, not because I was bad. It was because that's just the way it was in my house. And so I learned to entertain myself at a young age. I played in the band, I played tennis, I did everything I could to keep my mind off of my home life. And I became a voracious reader from the time I could read. I've learned from the time I learned to read, which was about 6, I guess. And so I read all of these books. And when I finished all of Nancy Drew, I got my brother's Hardy Boys, read all of those. When I read everything I get my hands on, I read encyclopedias. I went to the library at Chamberlain Elementary and I loved the librarian there, and she got me started on a series of books on countries, and I started on A, went right down those. So because of that, I had a love of, I was just like, wow, Charleston, West Virginia is not big enough for me. You know, I can't wait to get out on my own and see all these places I've read about. So I'm a firm believer that reading opens up an entire world for you, and it was also an escape for me. I like to pretend that I was one of those Charles Dickens orphan characters in those books. But anyway, that saved me a lot. And so, therefore, I have never been afraid of being alone in my life. Living alone, spending time alone. I'm not a person who's in my house and has to have noise on all the time. None of that. That's the one positive. And there's probably more, but that's the one positive thing to come out of a childhood like I had. You have to look at the silver lining in everything, because I sponsor a lot of young women in recovery, and believe it or not, that's a #1 issue with a lot of them. They're terrified to be alone. And when that happens, you make some bad mistakes. So, not to say that I haven't made any bad mistakes, but you know, there's been most of my life since I was a young adult, I was with my husband most of my life. And haven't really had any time that was just mine until the last 4 years. And it changes everything when you lose your spouse, you lose a parent. Everything you thought was important in life is all of a sudden not important anymore because that person is gone. So my husband died. It'll be just in another week or so, it'll be 13 years, which I can't believe that. But I looked around this big historical house we had on the front of the hill, and I'm like, none of this is important without him. We did this together. And so I decided then to start downsizing. I just didn't want stuff anymore. And so I've continually done it down to where I'm now about ready to just, where I could live in a tiny house. I have not missed one thing, not one thing. So I had also read a lot of spiritual leaders' books, the Dalai Lama. All great leaders throughout time have always said, live simply. I never understood that until I had experience with it. And what I learned was in this last almost 13 years is I am able, with having less possessions, I'm able to live more fully outside, whether it be time with people, time with entities. I've always been a big volunteer person and like to be involved in things. It's just my nature. I get that from my mother. A lot of you probably remember my mother, who used to come here, and I was not raised by my mother, not till I was 16, but when I was a kid, my dad didn't take us really to church, but sporadically. And I just remember a few children's Bible stories. That's about it, because we didn't go very often. We went to Morse Memorial Methodist in Kanawha City. And I've often thought as an adult, why are we not taught about spirituality as a kid? It certainly would help things. You know, religion is a set of beliefs, but spirituality is a practice. If my parents had maybe said to me, you know, that conscience in there is telling you that's not right to do, Kathy, that's the voice of God in there, I probably would have thought about things a little differently, because I look at my conscience as my guidance from my kingdom within me. And so we all know the difference between right and wrong. I mean, some people, you know, have a deficiency. It just, this is the way they're born. But anyway, I just was not really aware of spiritual things until I came into a recovery program. And so God became personal to me then, because he did for me what I could not do for myself. And so that is what started my spiritual life, and I just let it lead me ever since then in the last 26 years. And it consistently, like when you say it's a practice, that's what they mean, a practice. So I don't know about you guys, but the pandemic started, I would say I remained relatively unscathed through most of that. How I handled it was I just went out in the woods. I hiked all over West Virginia with a bunch of friends. And so I thought I was relatively unscathed until I was in Florida last winter, and I looked at my friend out on the porch one morning, and it was getting close to time for me to be coming back, and I said, you know what, remember me telling you that, you know, Phil and I always motorhomed, and he never was a hiker because he had a bad ankle, and every time we would drive past that area in Utah, going to, say, the Grand Canyon or other places, I'd read about those parks, and I thought, one of these days, I'm going to come back and do these by myself. Now, this is 30 years ago I said this. But out of nowhere, it just hit me. I looked at my friend and I said, when I get home, I'm going to plan the trip to Utah. I think I'll go in May. I'm one of these people, they'll throw something together. I like not too much planning, because then I'm not as excited when it's time to go. So I got on the website and downloaded and printed out all the maps on each of those 5 parks. I looked at my big atlas. You know, my nephew's son, Ryan, laughs at me. He thinks we're all pirates, you know, for having these big maps and stuff. They grew up with everything online. And I said, trust me, you'll be using an atlas one day. But anyway, I spent maybe a couple of weeks putting that together. I'd already ordered the car that I wanted, because I thought, this is going to be a test for me. I am going to get the best mattress that I can find for that Subaru. I got a Jackery solar system that's a lithium-ion battery. I could plug my iPad in there. I didn't make any reservations, but I looked. I knew there were KOAs around there. And so I thought, oh, I have wireless there. I had a little Keurig coffee machine. I could plug in my iPad, watch Netflix. I mean, I suffered nothing. Nothing at all. And it was like I was out all day, and it was what I loved, and it reinforced what I was beginning to feel, was that every morning when I got up and went to trot to the bathhouse, you know, to go to the bathroom, I would come back out toward the car to get my coffee maker out, plug it in, and then recharge my battery from the night before. I was in life already. No way am I getting back in that car to lounge around or anything else. I'm in it. So I love that aspect. And when you think about it, I mean, really, truly think about this. When you go on a trip with friends or family, when you come home, what is it you talk about? It's mainly about your time together and your bonding time. And, oh, I had such a good time with this group of friends or my family. We had a ball. You may say we saw this, saw that, but it's mainly about the people. Well, it's the same way when you travel alone. So, except when you have that quietness, that stillness, nobody else to consider, that's when the magic happens. I mean, I was free to pull over on the side of the road on a whim. I was free to stay somewhere for 5 hours if I felt like it, and it makes all the difference in the world. So I think going back to the pandemic and what made me decide to do that like now is I finally thought about all the things that have happened, just the nastiness of COVID. All people just dying needlessly, the conspiracy theories that contributed to that. It's just, and I think finally the insurrection the year before is finally what did it for me. I can't believe that I'm actually seeing this happen. I was really disturbed over a lot of these things I saw. And so I thought, you know what, this might make me feel righted again. I needed to have some examples of good humanity, not bad humanity. So I knew as I was driving out there, and that was the worst part. You know, if you've ever driven out west and you go through Kansas, and it's like there's nothing but windmills and fields, and I'm like, why is it so many serial killers come from out this way? Do they just not live like the rest of the world, know what's going on, or what? But anyway, I went to Colorado first and met a friend who was having a little trouble. Her husband had a head injury, and she knew I'd had experience with the husband who had dementia. So I spent a day and a night with her, and then headed up to Century City and spent a couple days at a KOA way up at the top of that mountain. And then after a few days, I started down my journey into Arches. And I will have to tell you, my very first park, Arches, was my favorite. I'm still in awe of that place. Sometimes I'll look through my pictures and I'll just be like, I can't believe I did that. And it was reminding me of just a huge playground that God had built that was on top of a mountain, but yet it was flat. And I spent 3 full days there. I don't know how people do these parks and like say, we're going for a week. And I'm like, but what are you going to see? But I would be like, wow, I didn't realize that because I had not studied a lot. I'd be like, wow, way over there, I can see all of the attractions I visited yesterday. I mean, I was just amazed. I mean, Arches has, natural, geological features that have names like Park Avenue. And I mean, whoever named these is unbelievable. It's just a series that looks like big high-rise buildings on Park Avenue. In Congress, it looks like an actual I mean, they're huge, massive. And it's like, I feel that way, the same way I feel about water and why I do a lot of water adventures. I'm somebody who needs reminded of being humbling. I'm not in charge. And that's what a lot of that does for me is like, I come home thinking, I just played real little. I was teachable. I got so much out of that. It's like, I don't go for any other reason than to just be opened up to God's majesty, basically. But what I did not know I was going to get was the people. I never really gave that a lot of thought, but from the very beginning, it's like when you travel alone, you're putting yourself out there as far as being vulnerable. You might need help. And I've learned over the years through recovery, if you don't accept help from somebody, I mean, even if I don't need help getting up, I'll take somebody's hand because that's shutting out the sunlight of the Spirit. We are all work through one another to do God's work. I firmly believe that. And from the time I hit that first park entrance and pulled over, because it's a thing to get your photograph in front of each big national park sign, it was an unspoken thing. Nobody said anything except laughing and carrying on how glad they are to make it. But they're like, hand me your camera. I got your back. We don't know each other. Nobody. But I had not one negative experience. None. When I was at a campground, sometimes it'd be really windy and people say, oh, let me come up. They didn't even say anything. They'd come over and just start helping. And we all did that for one another. It felt like I was on a huge travel group of some kind with a bunch of different people, but we all had the same mindset. And it's nothing but the Spirit. We all, I want to say 95%, because I believe bad people have just some malfunctions up here. They don't set out to be bad. It's just the way they're made. But everywhere I went, I did some really tough hikes that people just automatically would turn around and reach for your hand to help you up. They'd talk to you, and it just had a real camaraderie to it. And I just realized when I was leaving Arches, and I was able to stay in that KOA in Moab until I was done with the next two parks, because it's really remote out there. And that's another thing that makes you have to rely on other people, is the fact that, two of those parks in the middle don't even have any cell service, nothing. If you were to get lost, you'd have a real problem. The only thing you can buy is water. So I just had one good experience after another. People would invite you if you were cooking out at your campground. They'd invite you to share food. They'd say, come over to our place, have appetizers, blah, blah, blah. It just almost like a welcome wagon like we have in our recovery community, the same thing. And I was like, wow, this is great. And I just had the best time. And you know how big a Subaru Outback is, right? Basically, all that would fit in there was my twin high-density foam mattress, and I had to cut it down about 3 inches on the side, 2 inches on the bottom. I put 4 crates together, screwed them together, stood them upright, and made like open shelving with my clothes rolled up, had my Jackery system on there. I even had a little tiny air conditioner that worked really well. And so it's tiny. Now, by the end of 3 weeks, I was ready to get out of there, but I really had not one issue. It's I love being in that, and I didn't even have my windows covered, and it's a real leap of faith. On my way out, I stayed at a rest area my first night, and I looked around there, and I'm like, oh, it looks like some homeless people sitting around here. I don't know, but I'm like, you know what? It's going to be okay. It's like I've got every weapon in here known to man. I have a gun, I got bear spray, pepper spray, got a taser, got a hatchet, got multiple knives. I'm like, I'm not afraid to use them. So I just thought, what the heck? So I'm a person who normally doesn't get up early, and I remember I slept like a baby that night. And the sun coming up right in front of me through my window, and I posted it on Facebook. And I was like, wow, what a great start to my first morning. And I realized there was nothing to be afraid of. I was fine staying here. And so that set the tone for the rest of my trip. It was like every single night. Now, granted, I stayed in campgrounds most of the time. But coming home, I ended up staying at a Love's truck stop. It looked new. It didn't look crowded. Let me tell you something. If you haven't traveled the interstates lately, they are so crowded with trucks. We're the baby boomers. We're not sitting on the porch like our previous generations. We're out there. We're the ones that are getting the knee replacements and everything else. But I pulled in this Love's truck stop and went in to use a bathroom, get a couple things, and I thought, the sun's going down. I just had taken nice pictures of a sunset. I may as well just stay here for the night. It was raining. And so I parked in a parking lot that had nobody in it. Nobody. It was off to the side. Those places are huge. So I came out of the store, and there was a pickup truck, a small one with a cab top on it, that was parked right next to me in that whole big thing. And I thought, what the hell? Why would somebody park right next to me? So as I get closer to the car, this guy got out of his truck and come walking around back, and we spoke, hey, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And I said, are you staying here for the night? And he said, yep. And about that time, he looked at my tag, and he was an older fellow, and he said, oh my gosh, you're from West Virginia. And I said, yeah, because I was in Kansas again. And yeah, still. And I swore I wasn't going to come home I-70 again because I just couldn't take it, but it was way too long to come 40 further south, so I just sucked up and did it. But anyway, he looked at my tag. He said, you're from West Virginia? I said, yeah, wow. And he said, we're from California. We're on our way to West Virginia to a big veterans rally. You know, it was right before Memorial Day. And he said, I have always wanted to go to West Virginia. He said, I have looked forward to this all year. And I said, well, that's awesome. So we had a nice chat and stuff, and I saw he had all this veteran stuff on and everything. And I adore veterans because my dad was a Korean veteran. My husband was in World War II. I've had so many people in my family that have served, and so it's always special to me. And he said, so you're staying here tonight too? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I got your back. I said, I got yours too. Because I knew I could help him out. But anyway, he and his wife stayed there. They were gone before I even woke up the next morning. But that drive home, I was just like, I realized that I had gotten so much more than I ever bargained for. It was like my whole humanity, joy cup, everything was filled up. I mean, I met people from France, people from Asian countries. I mean, you're talking about just May of this year. It's like people say from France. There was a lot from France. They had made arrangements to fly over here. They picked up like an Outlander type outfitted van. They would maybe fly into either Las Vegas or Salt Lake City, pick that van up. They would hit all 5 national parks, then the Grand Canyon, which I didn't go to. I've been there 3 or 4 times, but I'm going again. But and then they would turn their car in and fly back. And I had the best conversations with these people. Not one, I mean, the news is so detrimental. When we watch the news, it's so negative. And it's like, we've heard that so many other countries hate us, blah, 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 blah. I ran into none of that. It was like we were all on the same wavelength. It didn't matter. You know, saw cowboys, but you know, how often do you get to see real cowboys? Just unbelievable. I tried in the worst way to go to a rodeo, but none of them opened up till Memorial Weekend, so I kept missing them. But 23 is going to be another big year for me because that was really so good. I'm planning some other big trips. I've got a cousin in Texas, and I'm going to drive to Fort Worth. We were not raised together, but she is my only female cousin. She's a year older than me. We're both hairdressers by trade, basically. And what are the odds in that? We've only seen each other and spent time together maybe 3 other times, but we're so much alike. And that was because, you know, her dad, which was my dad's brother, he was in the war as well, and he took a job with Bell Helicopter in Fort Worth, and he worked his whole career there and just passed away a couple years ago. But I adore that side of my family, so I want to go spend some time. That's the best gift you could give anybody, including yourself, is time with people you care about. And I will say that I don't have any regrets about my family that I looked after and took care of. I knew that I only had one shot to do that, so I have no regrets. So I feel like it's my time now. But it's not to say that I'm always going to travel in this Subaru. I'm going to get a Class C motorhome and probably live in it for a year. And I hope to get that in 23. It's like they've been slim pickings with all of this, you know, RV life travel. But more friends tried to go with me on that trip, and I kept saying, nope, 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 no, nope, nope. But when I get a motorhome, I'll make sure that I've got room so anybody can fly out and stay with me. So I've prepared for next year. I've got myself medaled. I'm going to start a YouTube channel, which I'll let everybody know. And it'll be about, you know, single woman, senior traveling. I've got metal detectors, magnet fishing kits. I'll be hiking, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I find myself reverting right back to everything I loved in childhood. Every single thing I'm doing now, I loved as a kid. And so you really grow as a person when you have solo travel because you're just focusing on yourself and what you're experiencing. There's nobody around. It's not better, it's not worse, but it's different when you're by yourself. I think you get the most out of it when you're alone. I had to be trusting. It's like what I could tell everybody is two things to do: be prepared and be aware, and you'll always be okay. Don't put yourself in any stupid, circumstances. But anyway, it was so good that I've been on just a high that God intends us to have, that kind of high, ever since I went. And it's like whenever I happen upon the pictures or think about it, I'm just like, wow. And that's when we had the big eclipse too. I was coming out of Arches the last night I was there, coming zigging down that mountain, and got a beautiful shot of the eclipse. And it's like, how in the night skies, oh my gosh, I would lay out at night just to watch because 3 of those 5 parks are designated dark skies. And so you see things that you never see around here. So, I'm just in amazement. I felt like I got filled up spiritually, but I also grew, which is the goal, to be a better person. It's like, thank God we're not perfect, because we can always strive to do better. That's what really makes us happy people, I think, is always striving to do better, be better, and that's what I hope to do the rest of my life. But I want to leave you with something that I posted on Facebook just last week that helps explain. It's in the same way what I experienced traveling, often unspoken. And it's about this fellow with a bird. It said, "This wild kingfisher's grandparents I found in the garden, nearly dead, some years ago. I nursed him back to health and set him free. The next morning, the family swooped down past me in gratitude. A couple of years later, I awoke to find the next generation, a parent of this bird, waiting for me on the terrace. His wings seemed broken. I picked him up and examined him. He never flinched and stared deeply into my eyes. A thorn had locked his wing from operating. I pulled it out and set him free. Without fail, he passes my window every day at the same time, crying out to me. This baby sat in the tree eye to eye with me, then flew directly to my hand and sat there for several minutes before flying away. Intuition, compassion, good intent, those essences of love was all we had. Pure, unspoken, an energy that has no end and passes silently onward much further than we can imagine." And so that, to me, a lot of times is what the unspoken is about with our spiritual beings. We recognize things in one another without ever saying a word, and that's probably the biggest thing I experienced in my trip. I just said a constant wow all the time in my head, just amazed at people. And I had not one bad experience. It was positive 100%. So I encourage any of you, if you have any fear about trying something like this, especially you women, don't be afraid at all. Be prepared and be aware where you're going, but don't plan too heavy. Leave yourself open to experience things that maybe you didn't read about, and just go do it. It'll be the best gift you ever give yourself, because I still say, man, this has probably been the best year just because of that trip, in a while. And I often say, we hear said that, the youth is wasted on the young. It's like, I wish I knew back then what I know now. And it's like, this is why I'm pushing so hard. It's like, I'm going to be 64 my next birthday. And it's like, I have to face the fact that there will come a day that I can't do these heavy adventures that I like to do. So I'm making the most of them now, because when I can't do that, I'm a good person at figuring out, okay, what can I do? It comes from years of being manipulative in my active addiction to alcohol. I've learned to just turn that around and do it another way. You can be manipulative in a good way. And so I will continue to do this, and that's what made me realize that I could do this for a full year and blog about it. And still to this day, that article came out and it was either July or August. Not a week goes by that somebody still doesn't find me and message me. And the best things have come out of it. This lady that's a park ranger in Colorado, who was from here, she messaged me on Facebook and she said, "My parents saved your article for me to read when I came home." She said, "That is awesome." And so we just started talking. We're good friends. She gave me all kinds of information on exactly who to contact if I want to volunteer at any national park. Anything I wanted, she gave me the information on how to do. And that's part of the positive that comes out of this stuff too, and why, you know, it's necessary to talk about it, blog about it. If you have any interest at all, there's a group on Facebook called Girl Camper. They have 350,000 members. It's that strong. It's probably the biggest one on Facebook. And it is the best as far as encouragement, facts, knowledge, but just support among women. If you're a woman and thinking about doing that, take a look at that page. But anyway, I'm so glad that, you know, to be able to do this, and I thank you all for showing up. And I thank Sky for asking too. And thank you guys. Ron's falling asleep over there. Thank you so much.
I feel like I've been there. This is exciting. So we need another usher. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Let us say our offering blessing together. Divine love moving in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love. I trust God, and I am grateful.
I've traveled the banks of the river of Jordan to find where it flows to the sea. I've looked in the eyes of the cold and the hungry, and I saw they were looking at me. I wanted to know if life had a purpose and what it all means in the end. In silence I listened to voices inside me, and they told me again and again, there is only one river, there is only one sea, and it flows through you, and it flows through me. There is only one people, we are one and the same. We are all one spirit, we are all one name. Oh, we are the Father, and we are the Son, from the dawn of creation. Oh, we are one, we are one. Oh, we are Now every blade of grass in the mountain, and every drop in the sea, and every cry of a newborn baby, and every prayer to be free, and every hope at the end of the rainbow, and every song ever sung, they're a part of the family of man. And I tell you now, that means everyone, 'cause we're only one river. There
flows through me. There is only one people, all you're one and the same. We're all one people, spirit, we're all one name. Oh, we are the Father, and we are the Son, from the dawn of creation. We are one. Oh, we are one. We are one. We are one.
I'd like to thank Catherine for that inspiring, motivational talk. I think everybody here is ready to just get out and do something. It's just very, very exciting. Thank you so much. I feel like I've been on a trip. This morning, I'd like to remind you of the beautiful prayer that was in our daily word on Thanksgiving. I don't know if you read this at your house, but it certainly is a blessing. I am wonderfully blessed and so grateful. Today, I am grateful to reap a bountiful harvest of love and joy. I give thanks for my many blessings, especially for the love of God in all the wondrous ways in which that love manifests. I am grateful for my family and friends, those who give my life meaning and depth. I am grateful for the roof over my head and for the comfort and warmth and security. I am grateful for the food I have to eat, food that nourishes me and keeps me healthy. Mostly, I am grateful for the presence of God in my life and the awareness that God is not only around me, God is within me. From my divinity, I give thanks for the prosperity, peace, and joy, the sweetest blessings I could ever want. And so it is. Amen. Let's form our circle for the peace song.
Thank you. Do we have any birthdays to celebrate?
Yes.
Yes?
Rose's birthday.
Aww.
9 years old.
How? 9. She's a baby. Anybody else got a birthday? Who's got a birthday? Someone's got a birthday. Yeah? I don't know.
Giants in the butterfly garden yesterday, and at the top of each of those stalks are the seeds for next year. I put the bunches out by the picnic table. I have scissors and baggies. If you'd like some seeds for your garden next year, on your girl.
Thank you.
Giant